back to another video from the Freedom Boys. Today we're going to be discussing the United States Constitution.
Alright, so let's start with a little backstory on the Constitution. When was it written and put into effect?
The Constitution was written on September 17th, 1787, and the Constitution was put into effect on March 4th, 1789.
Obviously, we know that the country was founded in 1776. So what was before the Constitution?
Before the Constitution, we were using the Articles of Confederation, which ended up failing because the U.S. Constitution was better and it left so little power in the actual federal government, which is why we replaced it with the U.S. Constitution, which adds power to the federal government. Yeah.
Pretty much, because the Articles of Confederation, it gave more power to the people than the government had, which then led to a bunch of bad stuff happening.
There was a rebellion, right?
Yes, there was.
I think it was the Whiskey Rebellion? Or was that later?
I cannot remember.
Anyways.
So the Constitution was written primarily by James Madison, but input was given by other founding fathers such as George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson.
You know, the guys in the picture that we all have seen.
Yeah.
Which I'll pop up on the screen.
Yeah. That was Declaration of Independence. Whatever. It's the same people.
Okay, so what does the Constitution actually contain?
So it contains the preamble, which I hope a lot of you should know. This would be the people of the United States. The 7 articles and the 27 amendments.
So the 7 articles include the legislative branch, which is Congress, the executive branch, which is the president, the judicial branch, which is the Supreme Court, and contains laws for admitting new states, and that states must respect the laws and court decisions of other states, so you can't counteract another state's laws.
The last 3 are the amendment process, how to make amendments, supremacy of debts, which is like, and then the ratification process, which is how states are ratified in the country.
So now I am going to list off all of the 27 amendments as shortly as I can. So the First Amendment is the right to free speech. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. The Third Amendment is the right to turn soldiers away from your home if you don't want to keep them there. The Fourth Amendment is protection against unreasonable search and seizure of your property, so that means the police can't just come up and ask for your stuff. The Fifth Amendment is the right to grand jury and protective against self-incrimination, which means that you can't really self-incriminate yourself. You can't be forced to say something that makes you seem like a criminal in a court. The Sixth Amendment is the right to a quick public trial. The Seventh Amendment is the right to the jury in civil cases. The Eighth Amendment is protection against excessive fines and bails and usual cruel punishment. The Ninth Amendment is the rights listed are retained by all citizens of the United States. The 10th Amendment states that the powers not given to the federal government are reserved for the states and the people. The 11th Amendment limits the citizens' abilities to sue states. The 12th Amendment revises the original way of electing president and vice president, making them separate ballots. The 13th Amendment abolishes slavery. The 14th Amendment defines citizenship and that all citizens have the right to due process and equal protection under the law. The 15th Amendment is the right to states that the right to vote cannot be denied on account of race. The 16th Amendment allows Congress to set and collect an income tax. The 17th Amendment provides a direct and by popularity election to United States senators. The 18th Amendment is the prohibition of alcohol, which was later repealed. The 19th Amendment was the amendment that allowed women to vote. The 20th Amendment changed the start date of presidential and congressional terms in office, and the 21st Amendment repeals the 18th Amendment, which is the prohibition of alcohol. The 22nd Amendment limits the president to 2 terms, however, Franklin Roosevelt served 4. The 23rd Amendment grants the presidential electors to the District of Columbia or Washington, D.C. The 24th Amendment prohibits the use of poll taxes in federal elections. The 25th Amendment outlines the procedures for presidential disability and secession. The 26th Amendment lowers the voting age to 18. And finally, the 27th Amendment prevents laws from affecting congressional salary until the next election of the representatives. Wow, that is painful. All right. I don't ever want to do that again.
Alright, so let's talk about some of the more memorable amendments, the ones that you know about the most. Obviously, there's the first 3, which are
the first 3 that most people know, right? The First Amendment, the right to free speech.
So it's not just free speech, it's free press, religion, expression, and
it's assembly and petition and press and all that stuff. So petitioning means that you can petition the government to try to change laws that you don't agree with. And assembly just means like protesting and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. The Second
Peaceful
Amendment,
protest.
yes, peaceful protesting. Rioting is not covered under the First Amendment.
The Second
Peaceful.
Amendment is
Second
the
Amendment
right to bear.
is
I'm
the right to
talking.
bear arms.
The
I
right
don't
to
care
bear
that you're
arms.
talking.
So basically, any U.S. citizen is allowed to have a gun. Of course, there's
Or a sword.
I guess so.
But it was directed more towards guns.
But of course, there is state laws on it. Like different states have different laws on it. Like different states require you to have a background check. Some states don't. Yeah, there's always laws that come up to the states. And the Third Amendment
Is the right to turn the soldiers away from your home, unlike what happened during the War of Independence, where redcoats could just literally come into your house and say, "I'm going to sleep here," and you
Yeah,
couldn't
it was
say no.
called
You would get
the
like
Quartering Act. So the British
Yes.
King James. No, not James.
I think it was King Henry. Anyways,
Yeah. He said, you know what? I'll have my soldiers. This is my colony. I'm gonna let them sleep wherever they want. He established the Quartering Act, and bang. Fourth Amendment. That's another one that everybody should know, which is the protection against a reasonable search and seizure of property.
which means that the police need a warrant to come into your house. They need a warrant to search your vehicle. They can't just take all your stuff.
And also the Fifth Amendment. Everybody should know this amendment. Right to a grand jury and protection against self-incriminations as due process. If a police officer is, what's the word, interrogating you like on like a traffic stop,
They
you have the
cannot
right-
intimidate you.
You have the
into-
right to be quiet.
And that's why people say I plead the fifth, right?
Exactly.
They don't have to say anything after that.
Yeah, because anything that you say can be used and will be used against you in court.
Yes.
And the police say that. They should say that. No,
They have to say it. They're legally required to say it, and if it's not on their body cam, it's over for them.
Yeah. The Sixth, Seventh, and Eighth Amendment are all
About public trials
Yes.
and juries and things like that, and the Eighth Amendment prevents you from ending up in jail for 1,000 years because you ran a red light, or
just because they don't like you.
making a $1 million bail for you when you jaywalked the street, right? Like, it has to be reasonable. But yeah, the rest of the amendments, which I already listed off, you can go back and listen to them if you want to. But the rest of the amendments, they're very important, but they're not the things that you need to know immediately off the top of your head. I would say the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Third Amendment, the Fourth Amendment. You know, first 1 through 8 are probably the good amendments to
Yeah.
know. So why is it important to learn about the Constitution?
First of all, it's a pretty big part of American history, right? America was built on the Constitution. That's why we have these certain laws, the amendments. That's why we have how presidents get elected. That's all these different like systems of how stuff happens in the government is all through the Constitution. And then the second part to it would be, before I just said, list out all the rights of government citizens. So it lists out what the government can and cannot do,
And what the
What
citizens
citizens
can
can
and cannot do.
the preamble. Normally, I think like back then you could like memorize this in like high school or something like that, right?
I memorized it in 8th grade.
Yeah,
and then
we did do
managed to forget it and memorize the Second Amendment. So I know the Second Amendment, I just don't know the preamble.
So the preamble, I'm gonna say like pretty quickly. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. So this little statement is basically what leads up to the Constitution. It just kind of explains what the Constitution is about. So it's to protect general welfare, ensure prosperity, all those
Provide
things.
for the common defense, which is
Exactly.
military. I know we've done a lot of talking today. So thanks for watching this video from the Freedom Boys. If you want us to cover a topic that's important for you, feel free to shoot us an email. Our
The email is in the description and in the channel description. Or you can drop a comment down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you catch all of our new content.
Until then. So I put a note in there so that he actually says it with me, because the last time we recorded, he messed it up like 4 times. But anyways, until then, stay patriotic and God bless America.